Unit 1, the alphabet and grammar of geometry. Lesson 1.1, the geometry alphabet. Students, you want to have your new preview notes on hand. You are going to notice that there is a course calendar on the front. So here is day 1, either the 14th or the 15th, depending on your day here. And then in this column is the in-class activity. And in this column is your homework. So the homework we're working on is preview 1.1. That's how you read the calendar. If you are ever absent in this class, my first suggestion to the best of your ability is don't be absent. There is always content in this class. Do not return asking, did you miss anything? The answer to that will always be yes, tons. But if there are unavoidable circumstances and you're absent, you use this page. Let's say you're absent for Wednesday's class. I see you back on Friday. So if you want me to check any of these preview notes in this packet and you were absent, first you tell me what you would like me to check right here. So let's say you want me to check the preview notes from lesson 1.5. So you say preview notes 1.5. And then you have 3 options here that you would check. If you were absent for the lesson, and you completed it the day after the original due date, you do get an extra day if you're absent due to illness, then you get potentially full credit. You check that box. But let's say you were absent on Wednesday, but Thursday night you still went online and you looked ahead and you saw the notes. So when you came back, you didn't miss the homework, you actually worked ahead. Guess what? You get to check this box, and you'll get extra credit. Now, if for whatever reason you're not absent, but you fail to turn in the preview notes, then I will take them late after the due date, but only for half credit, 5 out of 10. I do not give homework passes. Listen carefully, students. Instead, there will be opportunities occasionally to earn extra credit, so you can have opportunities to make up for half-graded late work, but do not expect any homework passes in this class. In working through this packet, a couple things. When you're told to pause the video and work something, actually pause, do your own work. Then check your work, as I check it, with a red pen. So work in pencil, check in red. Always make sure you watch and listen. Don't just watch as if only watching helps your understanding. Make sure you watch and listen. When you're finished, take 2 minutes and verbally rehash what you learned, like literally talk to yourself. I learned this today. That little verbal rehashment increases retention up to 30%, which means you're 30% more likely than the person who doesn't do this to remember the material a week or 2 weeks from now when you actually face things like tests and quizzes. You must get your notes signed by a parent or guardian witnessing, or a teacher if you see me or you're in a study hall with a teacher who can sign off that yes, you were witnessed actually watching and taking these notes. Very important, students. If you're like, videos do nothing for me, you are welcome to come see me in person during optional 1B tutorial, or even after school if you do not have 1B tutorial, and I will go over this material face-to-face with you in person, but it must be done prior to the due date. In working through these notes, you're going to get out of 10 points, 2 points for just making notes of the location, date, time, and getting a parent or teacher sign off. 7 points for following the notes and taking them in detail. That also includes showing work when you are required to. And then correcting in red pen work that you work out in pencil and then I ask you to correct in red, the fact that you actually do go back and correct, that alone is worth 1 point. So for today, you want to make sure that you are writing the location that you're watching the video, whether it's at home or in study hall, the date and time, and then you want to get a parent, a guardian, or teacher sign-off that is witnessing it. Students, it's really important. Don't try to multitask here. Don't be checking your Instagram or watching YouTube videos or following your Twitter feed or something of that. Multitasking is distracted work. So turn off all distractions right now, please, and focus for the next 30 minutes only on this lesson. We're going to go over a couple website introductions before we get into the lesson. So taking a look here. Tutoring. I am available on open B days in the morning. I'm available most lunches in my classroom. Just come to my classroom. Very rarely I will not be here, but vast majority of the time I am. And every day after school, 2:30 to 3:15 or longer as students need. And remember, I will also write sports passes to be up to 30 minutes late to practice for the sake of tutoring. I am here tutoring close to 6 hours a week. In other words, I live here. Number one, if you would take a moment, and I'm going to show you, you want to go to YouTube, please, and get to my YouTube site. Looks like this. I recommend you hit that subscribe button and actually subscribe. So when I load up a video, you will actually be able to get instant information regarding that video. So make sure you hit resubscribe. That'll give you instant notification every single time I load up a new preview video. Resources. On my website, I want to show you some resources here as we are working. So there's the link for my YouTube channel. Click on this link. You're going to notice every single topic that we cover in geometry this year is also reviewed on this page. It's called CK12. So if there's a particular subject you'd like to have more review on, or a very quick review, just click on any of those subjects and links. And there'll be all kinds of things. There'll be note cards, things you can read, things you can watch, practice quizzes, etc. So that's on my website for extra practice, comprehensive geometry review. When you work on ALEKS, you also get extra credit for working on your ALEKS Pi. And so every single topic in the geometry Pi, I have a corresponding explanation video. So you're not left just with the written. So if you click on any of these, you're going to get a very short screener vignette explaining how to do that certain problem on ALEKS. Once again, that is linked on my webpage, explanation videos. 60-hour digital fast, that's an extra credit assignment. You're welcome to take a look at that. When you go to my website, so if you are absent, I'm going to show you how to wrap, review, access, print. So just as a general rule, don't click on my lesson plans. I'd rather you scroll down here and I have each day in class and homework has a separate link. For example, on first day of school, says right here, you click on it, introductions. There's all our information for that first day. And then the homework, it says in class, homework. Let's say something horrible happens and you're absent, you're an A-Day kid and you're absent right here on the 18th. So review, access, print. You would click here and click review. And you would see what we did in class and notice there's a link here, a PDF. I recommend you actually print the assignment out if you want to work it on Notability and send it to me. via an email, you're welcome to, but I personally recommend you print them. And then in class, I record our examples done in class. And then if you scroll down, once you finish the assignment, all assignments have the answers here. And I expect you to work in pencil and then go back in red pen and correct your work. That's one of your resources: review, access, print. Another resource of after each lesson, if you scroll down, there's always 5 or 6 of these review links, additional practice and review. Let's say we're learning a topic called the grammar of geometry. You can go down here and click any one of these, and it will review the content with extra practice. Late homework issues. Real simple, all late homework. My homework is generally the preview notes. You'll get a 5 out of 10 if you turn it in late. That's not if you were absent due to illness. If you were absent due to illness, then you get potentially 10 out of 10. Warning, missing my class due to a sporting event or a conservatory event is not considered an excused absence in the sense you are still responsible for that day's material as if you were present in my classroom. So all late homework is 5 out of 10. Let's say just life happens. You go home, your dog's sick, veterinary, and you're out of commission. So you can, every single class, when you have a class lesson, you get 1 point extra credit, which is 10% on that assignment. If you finish it during class, you get something called a sign-off. Or if you are methodical in the way you work, if you come in the same day for tutoring, that same day. So let's say I have you Monday, second period. If you come in lunch on Monday and finish, then you get what's called a teacher sign-off and you get extra credit. Each month, I will make available an extra credit assignment in the back of my classroom. So there'll be one for August and then September, October, etc. There's also a larger extra credit assignment, 1 per semester. That's usually green. That's in the back of my classroom. And then, of course, the Alex Pie is extra credit. Now, what do I expect you to do, students, is go find your syllabus. I expect you to read your syllabus and then answer questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pause the video, read your syllabus, answer those questions, and then restart. Pause. Welcome back. Students, the beginning of each lesson always starts with a review section. So this review section, I do not want you to use a calculator. I'd like you to multiply this longhand, no calculator. Here, I'd like you to solve for x, no calculator. Pause the video, do your own work, and then restart. Welcome back. Let's check your work here. So we're going to go 8 times 6, that's 48, carry the 4. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 4, that's 8. Carry the 2, that's going to be 72 and 74. Then we go like this, and that's 30, carry the 3, that's 15, plus the 3 is 18. That's 45, plus 1 is 46. 8, 8. 12, 14, that's 54,288. Check your work. Yes, I actually expect you to do multiplication by hand in this class. Unless it's a decimal or something called trigonometry, you are going to use your brains for this stuff. Let's check your work here. First, you want to collect like terms. Here we want to distribute. Make sure you just distribute that minus sign to both. Collecting like terms. Once you've collected everything, now you can start canceling. Check your work. If you're correct, put some sort of nice big positive sign, nice big star or smiley face, or check, I got it right. If it's wrong, I expect you to redo your work and show the redone in red, please. Now we're going to get into today's new material. Lesson 1.1, the geometry alphabet. When you learn a language, you generally start with the alphabet of that language and learning to pronounce the letters of the language. Well, it's a similar thing in geometry. We have letters or building components. Our key terms, by the end of this lesson, you're going to know the point, the difference between a line and a segment, array, an angle, a plane, and the concept of dimensions. You should have a straight edge handy, a pencil, I recommend colors, and of course your red pen. We first need to talk about the concept of dimensions. Dimensions. You live in a world of 3 dimensions. 3 dimensions. Length, width, height. Sometimes the 4th dimension of our world is called time. So the first dimension is things that just have length, just length. Think of it as you're measuring the length of your shoestring, or the length, the actual length of a meter. So things that just have length are 1 dimension. Length. 2 dimensions are things that have both length and width. This would be like if I wanted to find the area of this tabletop. Area. Why don't you go ahead and physically shade that tabletop? So if I wanted to find the area of that tabletop to design, let's say, a tablecloth, that would be 2 dimensions. So think area. Draw a little tabletop and shade it. And the 3rd dimension would be things that you can physically put your hands on, which would be length, things that have length, width, and height. And that is essentially anything you can physically wrap your hands around has 3 dimensions. For our use and purposes, let's just go ahead and draw 3-dimension box here. So think in geometry, we'll be doing things called solids. That's the concept of dimensions. So here is the alphabet. There are only 5 letters to our alphabet. In geometry, only 5. Everything we do in geometry will consist of these 5 letters. Point, line, segment, ray, and plane. Angle would technically be a word because it's a combination of the letters. So let's focus on these. Okay, a point. Guess what? It's just a point. It's not rocket science here. Ta-da! That's a point. Now, anytime you have a point, the symbol for a point is a capital letter. So when you see geometry diagrams, whether or not there's a dot, you see a capital letter, that capital letter is the symbol for a point. Remember, it must be capital. You have to use capital letters. Capital A, capital P, capital R, only capital letters. You may not use lowercase letters for points. So these kind of letters you may not use for points. Points only use capital letters. Now this is a little mind-bending. A point has neither length nor width nor height. It has 0 dimensions. Technically, it's not there. You can't physically put your hand on it nor locate it. It's a theoretical concept. It has neither height nor width nor length. A line. A line is a straight line, but in geometry, by definition, you have to put the arrows on there because it goes on forever, both directions. Now, when you name a line, you choose only 2 points, and you can use a combination of 2 points. For example, this red line, I could name it this way, P, 2R, notice capital letters, that means I'm stringing through P to R, and then you put a little itty bitty baby line above it. Guess what? That names the line PR. Guess what? I could also do this way, since it goes both directions. I could also call it RQ. Any 2 points in any order. I could also call that QP. Why don't you come up with at least one more possibility to call that line and stick it right there? I'll check it when I check your video notes. Now we also name lines. If I want to name the whole line with 1 letter, you don't use 2 points. You use a naming letter. And down you're going to use cursive, lowercase, right at one of the arrow points. And you simply write the word line. And then you use the lowercase cursive. I could call that line M. Remember, you use 2 points, capital letters with an arrows, both ways. A line only has length. Therefore, it's 1 dimension. Now, a segment is a piece of a line. A piece of a line. So if I just wanted to take a piece of the line and chop it off, notice there's no arrows there. That piece of a line is a segment. You end with endpoints. I'm going to call this PQ. Notice no arrows. If no arrows, that means it's a segment, it's a piece of a line, or QP would be fine either way. But you use 2 points with the segment above it. And segments are also 1 dimension. Length only. Now, in a way, a ray is also a piece of a line. I could draw a ray going this way. I start at point Q and I go off this way. I could call that ray QR. Or I could go this way. Ray QP. All right, so rays go in any direction, and the basic definition of a ray, again, it's a piece of a line, but it's a piece of a line that has an end point and then goes infinity in one direction versus a segment is two endpoints. So endpoint, affinity in any direction. Now watch very carefully. Unlike a line and a segment, which have multiple ways of writing, we always name rays first by their endpoint, then by their arrow point, and then do a little baby ray there. So this one, our endpoint is Q. Our arrow point is P. And we write it like that. Warning, if you write it like this, PQ, that would be incorrect. Why? Because the very first letter in the symbol must be the end point. And if you put P first, P is an arrow point. So you start with the end point. That's super important when you're doing rays. So a ray has two letters with a little ray, but that first letter is the end point. And then that second is the arrow. Doesn't matter whether the arrow goes right or left. Rays, like segments and lines, only have a length, one dimension. Now a plane has two dimensions. So let's come here. A plane has two dimensions. Right off the bat, we're dealing with something that has two dimensions. It has area. Planes we can name several ways. Planes are a minimum of 3 points. Minimum 3 points. Traditionally, though, we usually put 4. So let's say we take the corners of these tabletops. And you must write a plane going either clockwise or counterclockwise around. So what? I could go A, trace with me. B, I'm going clockwise. C, D, back around. I could have, go ahead and draw another tabletop here. I could have easily started at any corner and gone counterclockwise. For example, draw a second tabletop here, put A here this time, and now let's go counterclockwise. A, B, C, D, back around. Notice I went counterclockwise. You never name planes in zigzag. Okay, so this kind of notation, A, B, zigzag across C, D, that would be incorrect. You don't even have to draw that, but just realize zigzag labeling is incorrect. Either you go clockwise or counterclockwise. We name planes by a minimum of 3 letters. So this black plane right here, I could call, we just read the word plane, A, B, C, D. Or I could use a minimum of just 3 letters. I could call this plane ABC if I wanted to, even though there's an additional point. Another way we name trains is in the upper right-hand corner, you can put a cursive letter. It's cursive, that means it's not points. For example, there's cursive Z, upper right-hand corner, and you can do the entire plane by a cursive letter. I could call that plane Z if I wanted to. Remember, when you label, you must label clockwise or counterclockwise. No Z formation. That's a plane, and a plane is 2-dimension. Alrighty, I recommend you get some colors here. I really highly recommend. You don't have to match my colors, but do each of these in a distinctive color if possible. An angle. An angle is just two rays stuck together, or even two segments stuck together. When I say stuck together, the fancy name for that is a common point or a hinge point, common point. So this is an angle. Now, when you do angles in geometry, there's two things I always want you to do. It's called trace and sweep. Say it out loud. Trace and sweep. Let me show you what I mean here. Ready? We're going to trace and sweep the angle ACF in that exact order. Ready? Do this with me. Put your pencil on A. Go to C. Go to F. Trace. And when I say sweep, you go like this. You sweep the mouth of the angle, or the elbow of the angle, if you will. The elbow. Think of that. Hand. That's your elbow, that's your shoulder, for lack of a better. Trace and sweep. Let's try another one. We're going to trace and sweep angle DAB. Ready? Start at D. Go to A. Go to B. Trace and sweep. Notice we're sweeping at the central letter. This was swept at C. The central letter, that's the elbow of the angle. Let's try another one. Trace and sweep. F, D, E. F, D, E. Trace and sweep. Central letter. Ready? Let's trace and sweep this last angle here. D, G, E. Ready? Start at G. Go to E. Go to G. Go to E and sweep at the elbow. Trace and sweep. D, G, E. We sweep at the elbow of the angle. Do you understand what I mean by elbow there? The hinge point. Trace and sweep. You do this with all angles. Now we're going to learn to translate words into pictures, but a word about words here. When you read in this class, you do not read simply with your eyeballs. No, you don't. In this class, you are always going to read with 3 body parts. You're going to read 3 times. 3 body parts, 3 times. In fact, I'd like you to say that out loud. 3 body parts, 3 times. The 3 body parts. First, you put your finger on the paper. You track as you read. You're obviously reading with your eyeballs, and then I want your lips moving. That's read 3 body parts 3 times. So that's pass number 1. Pass number 2, you go back and filter by either underlining or highlighting keywords. That's called filtering. Look at the word filter. Pass number 3, I want you to physically cross out things as you account for them on a diagram, either drawing or labeling a diagram. 3 body parts, 3 times. I'm going to model this for you. Ready? Step number 1, put your finger on the paper, please. You're putting your finger right here. Let's read this out loud. I'd like you to read out loud with me. Ready? Put your finger right there. Draw a line PR with a point Q between points P and R. Then draw a ray PT and a ray QM. Trace and sweep angle, that means angle, T, P, R. That's number 1. Now we filter, underline, or highlight keywords. We have ourselves a line and a point, and that point's between 2 other points. We have a ray and another ray. Very important, we have an angle. That's called filtering. You just make note of keywords. Filter. Now we draw, label, list, cross out. Watch very carefully. Draw a line PR. So I draw a line PR. Guess what? I've drawn a line PR. Guess what I'm going to do up here? I cross it out. Q is between P and R. Wow. Students, I just made my first mistake. Let's come back here. That says PR, not PQ. Maybe some of you just scrunched up your noses and caught that. I'm glad you did. Q is between P and R. See, that's why that word between is really important. Between does not mean middle. So be careful. Don't put it in the middle. It's not in the middle. It's just between. So offset. P and R. You've accounted for that now very carefully. Now we're going to draw a ray. Now remember that first point is the end point. Guess what? Same letter, same point. Same letter, same point. Say it with me. Same letter, same point. So if I'm drawing a ray PT and I already have a P there, I start at that P. And I draw a ray. I do not draw a second P. Same letter, same point. T goes towards an arrow. QM, you already have Q. Doesn't matter if I go up or down. M is my arrow point. Q is my end point. We're going to trace and sweep T, P, R. Ready? Trace and sweep. Go to T, go to P, go to R. Sweep. I took care of this, that, and that. So when you've read correctly in geometry, friends, the original text should literally be mutilated by the time you are done. Let's try this another one. 3 body parts, 3 times. 3 body parts, 3 times. It says, read aloud, put your finger right there, read aloud with me. On a plane WXYZ, draw a segment EF on plane WXYZ, intersecting a line BC at point 8. Trace and sweep BHE. Let's go back, underline or highlight keywords. The fact that we have a plane is pretty important. We have a segment that is on the plane. We have a line and an additional point. We're going to trace and sweep an angle. So those are our key concepts, minus all the details. Let's start one at a time. Let's make ourselves a plane. So think of a plane, usually it's good to visualize it like a tabletop. Tilt it just a bit to get a 3D effect. Doesn't matter where you start that W. I could start the W here, 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 or here. It does not matter. What does matter is I go clockwise or counterclockwise in my labeling. I'm going to start over here, W, X, Y, Z. I cross it out. Then I have segment, EF, that's on the plane. So think of it like a pencil on a tabletop. Notice no arrows because I set it to segment, EF. I could have easily put the E at the other end. Now EF intersects a line, intersect means cross, BC. So here I have a line BC being crossed by EF. It's a line, so there's arrows. And they cross at point H. Now we're going to trace and sweep BHE. So B, go to H and E, sweep at H. Ready? You try this one completely on your own. Pause the video. Try to translate this into a picture and then restart. Have your red pen handy. Ready? Pause. Restart. Welcome back, students. Let's see how you did here. We have a plane and a line. We have a segment intersecting. All right. You should have started with the fact that we have a plane Q. Notice that's a cursive Q. So your Q should have been in the upper right-hand corner. We have a line AB. It doesn't matter which way you tilt it, but it must have capital letters there. You have a segment JK intersecting AB at R. So here we have, and JK is a segment intersecting at a point R. Trace and sweep KRB. So K, RB, sweep. If you did this absolutely correct, some sort of celebratory, woohoo, I did it great. If a few things were wrong, no problem. Just take a red pen, correct your work, redo it, and then I want you to write a little note. What are you going to remember next time? Students, very important, as you finish the video, I suggest you set your phone to a 2-minute timer and verbally summarize to yourself what you learned. Maybe even get an audience, grab a parent, grab a sibling, put your dog, put your cat on the bed, something, and talk to somebody about what you just learned in this video. Try to summarize it in under 2 minutes. Again, by doing this verbally on your own, you're going to increase your retention rate by over 30%. Do this now. Set your timer.